Welcome back. Today I wanted to address one of the things that were on homework for this week, which is our strategy of using a ratio table. This is a new strategy for fourth grade math. It came with the curriculum, so this was completely new to them, not something that they would have seen last year. One of the things that we talked about with the ratio table, and I think one of the things that sometimes does confuse them, is all of the empty boxes, one, and we don't always have the ratio table listed in order from one to the end of the table. For example, we always have them look at the first column or the first row, depending on whether it's a horizontal table or a vertical table, and then to see what numbers are missing. So a lot of them are automatically assuming it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And as you can see, the pattern doesn't consistently go past 3. You see it skips to 5, then to 8, and then we jump down to 11. So one of the things that we've talked about is if you do see the first column or the first row, that will tell you the pattern that the ratio table is going through. So if I have a 1 and a 7, that means that my pattern is skip counting by 7. So the purpose of the ratio table is to help them with that skip counting pattern. As they could see, many of them just start skip counting by 7s, and they will write the factors as they go through the pattern to help them fill in the top. Or we've talked about looking at it as a multiplication equation to help fill in this box. So if I have one group of 7, that gives me 7. If I have two groups of 7, that would give me 14. They would see that here. I would then need something times 7 to give me 21. So if they had already skip counted and had their pattern out, they could see that that would end up being 3 groups of 7. And then again, we are not continuing in the same pattern, so we jump to 5. Well, many of them know their facts of 5, and they would jump to see that that is 35. So here is where we would want them to start noticing patterns and use doubling and halving to help them. So I know that they know their 5s, which then means that they're going to know their 10s. So I wouldn't expect them when they got down here to 10 to continue to skip count by 7. They could simply use what they did for 5 and double 35 to get 70. Again, many of them know their 10, so that one isn't a struggle. Again, it helps them if they were to either set up an equation for it to be 7 times 8. They could continue skip counting to get that missing factor. So one of the things we're trying to have them avoid is these running addition equations where we, see them miscount, they're off by 1. We're encouraging them to write out their skip counting, and we have seen growth in that to help them finish out the rest of these tables. So we've said again, if they see the first column, this is their pattern, so that every number is increasing with a 7. Down here at the bottom, I have another one that we have practiced over the last couple of weeks where they don't necessarily have that first column and it just starts with 5. So a lot of them are saying, well, I don't know what the pattern is, I don't see that first row, but what we've talked about is either looking at one of these numbers that they do know, and a lot of them would go to 5s, they would go to 10s, or we've looked at how the numbers are increasing, where we would then either count up or we could subtract. So if I looked at my first two, I could simply set up 126 minus 105, and whatever my difference is the pattern that my ratio table will continue to skip count. So as we can see, that pattern would be increasing by 21. We've been focusing on numbers increasing 10 times as many, so many of them would look at that, notice that 210 has moved up a place value from 21, and would again notice that that pattern is 21. So a lot of the things that we've talked about are ratio tables of this type here, where we're asking them to figure out the pattern without that initial first row like this first one was, and then having them use that pattern to predict what the next entry would be. So if I'm asking them to continue what that 12th entry would be, they would use that pattern, add 20 more on, or if they wanted to be ambitious, set up 21 times 12, use the area model as we've practiced before, or simply add 231 to 21, which would give them 252. Again, please reach out on Dojo or send me an email. A lot of the kids are coming in and double checking in with the homework, which is great, and I'm encouraging if there are any additional questions. Thank you.